Hey there, Heather. Hello, there's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to a special one-game Stone Cold Hockey tribute match between the Montreal Canadiens and the New York Rangers of 1979. Reason being is this guy, Wayne Thomas, who played net for Montreal, Toronto, New York between 72 and 81. He was in management for the Sharks for 22 years, if you believe that. Wayne Thomas played in the Central Canadian Hockey League for Ottawa, then went to the University of Wisconsin under Badger Bob Johnson, the guy who coached Pittsburgh in to the 91 Stanley Cup Finals and then died the next year. Wayne Thomas looked pretty impressive. He was done pretty well for himself. The University of Wisconsin. Toronto actually had his NHL rights and then traded him to Los Angeles in 1968, who then traded him to Montreal in 1970. Thomas would play a few seasons with the Montreal Canadiens, but in a smaller role. He would go to Nova Scotia to play in the AHL and help them win the Calder Trophy. And then the following season, he debuted against the Vancouver Canucks, and he actually won his first 7 consecutive home starts. He was 8-1 in the regular season, but unfortunately, he was number 3 in the goalie um, pool behind Ken Dryden and Michel Plas. Surprised Michel Plas was a Montreal Canadian. Anyway, in '74, with Dryden sitting out the season because of trade dispute, and he wanted to be a lawyer, um, Wayne Thomas thought he was going to be the main goalie, but and with Plas. But somehow Buddy LaRock came up through. He played 42 games. Thomas did 276 goals against and was not used in the playoffs. Thomas did have a 53 save win over the Penguins in March of 1974. He was actually he actually had the fourth best goalie average. And then once Dryden came back after his year off in '75, he was made to be the number 3 goalie. Dryden was number 1. Bunny LaRock was number 2. Sam Pollock, the GM, figured that he would trade him to a good situation, and he did. He went to Toronto for a first-round pick. He played in the All-Star game in 1976. He spent 2 years in Toronto with the Popcorn Kid Mike Palmateer. In use, Toronto decided to put him in the NHL waiver draft, and the Rangers picked him up to back up a young John Davidson. Thomas played the majority of the 77-78 season with Davidson getting hurt, and of course that was the same year Hardy Astrom beat Montreal in Montreal. Thomas would play 4 seasons for the Rangers, winning 103 games in his 8-year career and 10 shutouts. He was basically the goalie coach for a while, and was head coach of Salt Lake City, which was the IHL affiliate of the Rangers. And coach of the year, he was an assistant coach. He was an IHL head coach for Peoria for St. Louis, and then he was an assistant coach, and then left the Blues to join the Sharks as assistant to the GM and assistant coach. He would stay to be assistant general manager for 5 years before being VP of the Sharks, and then he retired in 2015. So he died of cancer. Had some great seasons, especially with the Leafs. He only had one long. He only played 15 playoff games in the NHL. He wasn't even used for '79 for the Rangers. So it's the 1979 New York Rangers against the 1979 Montreal Canadiens. With Wayne Thomas being put in net for the Rangers, he was the backup by the dice thing with John Davidson number 1 and Doug Soultart number 3. Montreal has Dryden LaRock, but Buddy LaRock randomly was selected to be thing. So the '79 Rangers, who Wayne Thomas has to play in net for, have this Phil Esposito still around the Rangers, Boston icon. Pat Hickey around, Anders Hedberg coming out of the WHA's Winnipeg Jets alongside Ulf Nielsen. Ron Duguay, known for chasing fashion models. Mike McEwen, who was a good defenseman, got traded to Siberia, aka the Colorado Rockies, and pissed off Don Cherry. Ron Greschner, when he was young and impressionable. Walt Tkachuk, Kitchener. That's right. Former Kitchener Ranger Walt Tkachuk was still on the team. Danny Don Murdoch, great player, but his drug habits curtailed his career. Steve Vickers, pretty good player, won the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year 1974 with the Rangers. Dean Talifus, David Don Maloney, one of them. Catch it. Lucien Debois, Carl Fadney still around the Rangers, Pierre Plante, Mario Marois, Eddie Johnstone, Nick Fotiu, Dave Farish, Lord Cordy, Dan Clark for the 79 Montreal Canadiens, Guy Lafleur, the Demon Blonde, Steve Shutt had a lot of goal scoring records for left wingers in a single season before Ovi came along. Pierre Mondu, oh Mondu, Mario Tremblay. I hate that guy so much. Yvon Lambert, who for 24 hours was more famous than Guy Lafleur after his Game 7 goal against Boston to send the Habs to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Rangers. Jacques Lemaire, who was known for being a decent player and would invent the trap for the New Jersey Devils and the Minnesota Wild. Bob Gainey, great player, 4 years running as the top defensive forward in the NHL. He could shut you down in many reasons. One. Rajon Peanut Houle, as they call him, who was basically made GM. He was the man who made the Patrick Waugh trade. Larry Robinson, catcher. Look it up, people. Point to around. Mark Napier, Doug Riseborough, catcher. Doug Jarvis, who was the Iron Man after Gary Younger and before Phil Kessel. Pierre LaRouche, who was decent for the Penguins as a youngster, getting 50 goals as a teenager and then playing for the Habs and getting a 50-goal season, but he was kind of immature. Pat Hughes was their survivor, part of the Big Three. Rick Chartra, Kitchener, look it up. Brian Engblom, great guy for Between the Glass for ESPN and all them. Rod Langway, who was born in Taiwan, considered himself an American defenseman and was great when he was traded to Washington after the 82 season, won back-to-back Norris trophies. Yvan Cornway, he retired in February, if you must know. Jules Lupien, Cam Connor, and Dan Newman. Here we go. 5 minutes into the game, aggression. Rangers get penalized at Spadney. A Demon Blonde from Yvon Lambert. 1-0. A little bit later, Rangers score. At Desposito. He scores from Pierre Plante 1-1. Then another minute passes. They score again. Moose Hedberg. I don't know why I say Anders Hedberg as Moose Hedberg, but doesn't matter. McEwen and Nielsen with the assists, so the WHA connection works. 3 minutes later, Rangers take a chance? No. 2 more minutes. He gets hit. 3 minutes later, aggression. 8 here for 2. Rangers, no shot from Vickers. And no shot from Duguay. After 20 minutes, the Rangers 2, Montreal 1. 3 minutes later, aggression. Rangers get penalized. It's Walkachuk, of all people. But they kill the zone on Lemaire and Napier, among others. 5 minutes later. 5 more minutes. Aggression. The Ranger on Montreal. Cam Connor for 5. So the Rangers can score anytime within the 5 minutes. And it's not really a power play. Power play chance? No. Power play chance? No. Power play chance? No. And Montreal kills off that 5-minute penalty. They're still down 2-1, but they killed it off. Rangers trying to kill the clock. And no shot. Trying to kill the clock. Ranger gets hit. 5 more minutes pass by. Rangers holding on to a 2-1 lead. Empty net time. And Wayne Thomas saves the day, and the New York Rangers beat the Montreal Canadiens 2-1. Yeah, Dryden was not in net, but doesn't really matter. But the plunky, spunky 79 Rangers, my oatmeal's lumpy. The 79 Rangers win the game 2-1. Nice job by Wayne Thomas to shut down Montreal at every moment. Man, Montreal did not have many chances, but yeah. Only 4 penalties. Montreal got a power play goal by Guy Lafleur at 5:49. And then just 26 seconds later, Espo from Plante, and then a minute and 2 seconds after that, Hedberg from McEwen and Nielsen. And for 52 plus minutes, nobody could score. Wayne Thomas does his freaking job and beats Bunny LaRock 2-1. Yeah, I know it's kind of a small thing. I know I could have done more, but yeah, Wayne Thomas kind of does deserve his own game, doesn't? Hashtag does, hashtag doesn't. But yeah, the New York Rangers beat the Montreal Canadiens 2-1 in this one game playoff to determine let's say Wayne Thomas trying to face his former team and tell Montreal, you should have used me in the playoffs. You should have used me more in the regular season. And he's right. He is totally right. Montreal misused him. And then he went to Toronto, and then Toronto left him on the waiver draft for the Rangers to pick up. That's all. But anyway, rest in peace, Wayne Thomas. I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.